Today it's all about champagne, and welcome to RareWine Invest, and welcome to you, Rune Spliid, Commercial Director of RareWine Invest. Today we're going to talk about some of the champagnes that are here in front of me, the champagnes from 2008, the magical vintage. 2008 is definitely one of the best vintages we have ever had out of Champagne owner. Can you put a couple of words to that?
Definitely, Lars. We have seen with the vintages of 96 and 1988 some of the most hype and potentially best produced champagnes vintages in the market. That the 2008 vintages is the same. The hype, the demand for these wines are incredible in the wine market.
Yes, and ever since the 08 champagnes were released approximately 3 years ago, we have had the pleasure of serving investment grade cases for champagne. We had 14 cases in those 3 years of 2008 champagnes. And in 3 years' time, we have actually already seen returns. But what is it that we look into here? Is it a short-term potential or is it a long-term potential?
It's actually both that we will look into here, Lars. But I think if we use this case here with the Bollinger Grandonnay 2008, we have seen that investors started this investing in these champagnes back in March 2019 and are already now up with around 32-33% of that investment. So of course that is a short-term increase of these wines that we are very happy about and proud of. It's the same. I know you have some details also with some of the others
Yes.
that has performed amazingly. But I think in general, what we have seen with the Bollinger, that we normally communicate that the horizon of a wine investment will be 5 years plus. But what we can see now that we already now can present a high number as this already now is incredible.
It's absolutely amazing. Another top performer of those 2008 champagnes is the household name Dom Perignon. Dom Perignon vintage 2008 is actually up by 42% since the investment case in January 2019. Can you put a couple of words to why is Dom Perignon so popular?
I can keep it in two simple headlines. Demand and hype.
Yes.
Dom Perignon 08 is potentially the most hype champagne in the world, and the demand of this champagne will and have been incredible. And also with the numbers that you see already now, we can see that our investors that started. We started having the focusing on Dom Perignon around January 2019 also, and with being up 42% is good.
Absolutely amazing in such a short-term period. If you look at the bottom of the table, we have some investment cases that have not yet released their full potential. One of them is the single vineyard champagne from Philippe Nat, Clos Guest. What do you think of that one, Rune?
I think that we are still looking at the potential of a micro-production in champagne, and the increase will come over time. But I think that, of course, when people have other champagnes in their portfolio, they will see the amazing increase of Dom Perignon, Bollinger Grandonnay, for example. But the huge potential of this Philippe Nat wine will definitely be in the coming years. So we will look much into it. We will always have feedback from the market about how is the performance. Is there any price developing that we haven't had thought on? And still, when we talk with our purchasing department, when we get the feedback from the trading team, is to keep it. It will be a very good investment in the long road.
Yes, and I think we need to say that it has actually already gained around 5% in this short-term period.
Yeah.
Another household name, another very familiar champagne is Paul Rocher's Sir Winston Churchill champagne, the Prestige Cuvée. It's very traditional, very famous, but it's only up 6% since December 18. How's that?
Yeah, I would say, Lars, that the synergies is the same as mentioned before with the Philippe Nat. It will be that some of these champagnes will take time to increase a lot and have the impact that we have already seen with Dom Perignon. I still believe in both of these two wines on the long road, and I don't think that any of our investors need to be nervous about having these in their portfolio. But of course we will, when we have a gap between 42 to 5 and 6, then we will analyze, make conclusions and give feedback to both investors and of course observe in the market as well.
Of course, and again, both champagnes are still up with 5 and 6% respectively.
Yeah.
Also, other champagnes that we have waited for so long time was the Dom Perignon Legacy, this limited special edition Dom Perignon. But when it came to market, it was released for invest at a price of 185 euros. Yeah. But at the low point, it was actually down to 145 euros, and now I believe it's up again at around 225 euros. But what happened there?
The hype of these releases, and then when we can purchasing some of these wines in the market, we will always see that some prices are pushed a lot up, and of course we will always analyze on these prices. But what I believe in this case here is that we have had the conversation with the investors, bought a wine, 1.5 years later the wine was a lot down in estimate. But what we see now and what we thank our investors for is that they didn't sell, but believed us when we said that this year was something that will develop and increase over time. It's again about micro-production, the hype, the demand from the market. So we definitely believe that the Dom Perignon Legacy 08 will be a good investment case.
All right, the next one I would like to discuss is actually the one we have in front of us. That is the Cristal 2008, amazing champagne. But this very beautiful bottle is also a bottle that started out at approximately 200 euros, and then the prices went down to approximately 175 euros, and now they are up with 250 euros. Yeah. So it also started high, fell a little bit down, and now it's up even higher. But that is not limited production. So what is the case here with Cristal?
I think that the synergies, again, we have to mention hype a lot of times, yes. And it's something that we need to go down to again, that the hype about these champagnes will always run. And of course, we will have that in mind as well with the 08. I do, though, still believe, Lars, that when we look at those two cases, we should still remember that the gain has been between 20 to 40% in the lifetime when yes. when our investors have had these wines in a portfolio, and I strongly believe that they will increase even more. So still a very good investment case, but has taken more time than what we see with the high performance in the beginning. Yes,
certainly good investment cases, 20 and up to approximately 40% in a short period of time. That is really nice. But what we also saw with those is that they were both actually very hard to get, and that is also what we are seeing now, isn't that right?
I think in general, when also I know you're having a note about new releases also, but the wine market and people's curiosity for wine has just exploded in the last 12 months. We see so much hype about champagnes, Burgundy, Italian wines, for taking some for examples, but definitely champagne, high performer at Livex, in general, amazing performance.
Yes, and as a result, we have also had investors asking for those two cases, the Legacy and the Cristal, and we cannot get more of them at the time being.
No, exactly. We will also see with the investment tips coming out of your department with the marketing, is that we have so limited of these bottles. So every time that we push out an investment tip, it's close to sold within 10 to 25 minutes. So in that case, I can recommend that you get a good conversation with your advisor about what you would like to potentially purchase in the future.
The last thing I would like to discuss is some of the good things that are still to come. Yeah. We often have investors asking for some of the releases of the still to be released 08 champagnes, and one of them is the Krug Vintage. It's actually just in the market now. Yeah. When will we see it for investment?
Hopefully soon. What we have seen in our analytics has given us the feedback that right now we believe that the prices is still very high. So we will wait a little bit, hope for the market to settle, and then we will start purchasing a lot of these champagnes and offer them to a better price than the current market prices regarding the quick vintages.
I saw just recently a Dom Perignon 08 Rosé tasting.
Yeah.
Is that going to be released anytime soon?
Hopefully, but what we see now is that what we normally see when a release is close of being there is that these tastings around Paris, New York, etc., is starting to create this hype and curiosity about these different champagnes. And I believe that within, it's hard to say a date, because I don't want to disappoint any of our investors, but just so they know that that we are very much involved and analyzing about when the release will be, and of course the market price.
Yes. Another thing that is in very high demand is Krug's single plot vineyard champagnes, Clos de Menil and Clos de Ambonnet. Are we going to see them this year? At least in the next year, a 12-month time. Yeah,
maybe next year. If we go from summer and forward, I believe that there could be a chance. But I would say that the estimate will be around 1 to 2 years.
Yes, and they are very, very sought after, and they are very, very limited in production as well. So they will probably be very hard to get when they finally arrive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Last one that people are asking a lot about is the Bollinger RD, the late degorged champagne from Bollinger. We have here the Grand Année, but this is the RD that people are asking for. Are we going to see the Bollinger RD in the market anytime soon?
Again, a very good question, Lars, and it will be very difficult for me to set a precise date, but I believe that we are soon getting there. And I think the most important thing for our investors is to know that we are on the market regarding these here, and we are always in to see what market prices are coming out. A little room over here, a little room over there, and
how
using exactly, and using that data to go back. The date we cannot impact, but when market prices are released, we can of course look into that.
Yes. So if you are an investor, or if you're a potential wine investor, well, look out for those 2008 champagne cases. Patience will be rewarded. And if you are looking to know more about the 08 champagne cases, I will recommend that you sign up for a newsletter if you're not already there. Then we will let you know whenever there's a new possibility to invest in 2008 champagnes. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.